Do I have a motion on the side?
So,
We'll have a motion from Councilman Carson. Do I have a second from Councilman Beecher? Councilman Beecher. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried and so ordered. Item 8, Councilman Allworth, discussion for possible action. First reading of ordinance 740, Bill 2021-03, with approval to move to the second reading. Ordinance 740 amends Chapter 3 of Title 4, entitled Public Health and Safety, Weeds, Debris, and Other Offensive Matter of the City Code of the City of Ely, specifically changing the timeframes outlined in Section 3.
Once again, Mr. Mayor, it's the timing, trying to move things faster through the whole process. We've had this, weeds and offensive debris and everything. We used to write letters, send pictures, and nothing really happened. Everybody lost, including the landlords, they lost interest, so it just stalled it out. Now both of these, this one and the one previous, they have a lot more, basically, stroke to them if we get things done.
Hopefully make it easier to administer those processes too. So, I'll entertain a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Item 9, Councilman Allworth, discussion for possible action, approval of monthly balance sheets for general fund, street fund, and enterprise fund.
Dave, I put this on the agenda. There's so much detail in the financials that treasurer puts out. And if the public, I don't know, there's 30-some pages in it. And, the balance sheet basically tells how your business is running, how much money a company has, how much that's our assets, how much it owes as liabilities. And what is left is, when you put the two together, is how you run your business. What can you do? It shows your financial position. If you look at that in a quick term, going through all those financials, this is a quick and dirty way to see how the city's looking at it. And I just think that for the public awareness, and even for the council members that don't like looking at financial numbers, it comes out really plain and quick.
Were there questions on this or anything you'd like to add there, Treasurer Trask?
No, I just, like I've always said, if you guys have questions, the door's always open, or we can, if you've got any here. I think we're doing well so far. The thing that I would like, is for everybody to understand that, like the CTX comes in always 2 months behind, so we're always playing catch up with that. Keeps an eye on everybody's budgets, and pretty much, for the most part, everybody's doing a really good job, considering I budgeted very conservative, and you guys passed a very conservative budget, so I commend them for what they've been doing on their end.
I like to add the treasurer's idea to put the backup, for example, general fund, all your revenue and all the expense sides, because those numbers there all roll into the balance sheet. Again, it's a bean counter thing, and the same. Again, it's really important, like she said, that the revenues are most of the biggest revenues 2 months behind, and fuel tax is about the same way too.
Yes, fuel taxes.
So, but again, this way in a nutshell, you can look at how much revenue where we got budgeted at. Of course, the budgets are our best guess. I just like to try it, see if it sticks with it. I think it's very interesting. It's the main thing. It's really important, and this is the first time, well, since she's been on for 4 years, the balance sheet never balanced in the city. Now we have a balance sheet that balances. I harped about it in public comment. Now we have a balance sheet. Can't run the business if you're out of balance.
Right. And I'd just like to echo those sentiments, and looking through, I know we've been pulling a lot of budgets from other cities just to see how they do around the state, and the difficulty of running the city of Ely I don't think there's another city in the state that's funded quite the way we are. And it makes it difficult, and I would commend the council and the treasurer on the job they do on making sure that the budget works. It's not an easy job.
No, I do want to, we've only gotten through December, which is basically paying most of November's bills, so it's only 5 months in, really, when you think on the expense side, 2 months behind on the revenue side. So, I mean, eventually I'm suspecting that I will have to augment some of these budgets because they were pretty tight. The fire department being probably the main one that I'm looking at, possibly, but I will give Pat credit, he's doing an amazing job on it, so.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, Jeanette, also is a lot of these funds, you got your supervisors out there. I know you've got the finger on the pulse, and it goes out to these guys, but the employees, like I said, time and time again, they'll either make you or break you, and I think they're working hard to keep the city solvent too, so I think the whole city staff and the administration really need to be commended. But that's the idea of this here, in a nutshell, you can look at the balance sheet and go from
And
there.
if you have questions, I mean, feel free to ask.
Okay, any questions or comments on this? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes, 3 votes yea. Item 10, council members, city clerk lead discussion for possible action. Direction to city attorney Manueli prepare revisions to tree board and animal control advisory board codes, changing the boards to clerk appointed standing city committees. And we do have a member of our tree board here.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Bill Wolf.
Bill Wolf, Chairman of the tree board. From our point of view, from my point of view, this is actually an improvement because if we are as a regular board, we haven't been meeting our obligations as far as notifications and stuff, and by changing it to a standing committee, it meets the way we work much better because we're very, we don't meet on a regular basis. We're really operating, doing stuff a couple of times a year for certain events, Arbor Day and those kind of things, and going after grant monies to get trees and that kind of stuff. So changing it to a standing committee is probably a better move than having us as a board.
Are there any questions or anything the clerk would like to add on this? Or?
I'd just like to echo that what Bill said applies to the Animal Control Advisory Board too. They're interested in grants. They don't have business every single month that they need to attend to.
Great, I think it's an excellent suggestion. Are there any questions or comments from the council?
One last comment I'd like to make, though. Really, the only thing we ask of the city really is that once a year, the treasurer has been great about giving us a document that we turn into the Arbor Day Foundation for Tree City USA certification. And so as long as we can continue to get that support, then we'll be able to get the Tree City USA certification every year also.
Well, we do appreciate all the work you guys do, Bill, and
Well,
you've got all the support we
it's
can
been
get.
slack, so you're probably a year late on that compliment.
No problem. Better late than never.
That's right.
Anyway, anything else from the council? I'll entertain a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll go with Jim this time. Okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes with 3 yeas. We'll move on to 7, public comment. Please state your name for the record, and we'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I've been to City Hall numerous times over the last few months to pick up a permit to remove my home at 490 High Street. On one hand, you guys want to beautify the city, you create an ordinance to make it harder on an individual to do that. You've held me up for over a year. Now, let me tell you, we're going to hit heads. I'm trying to do it, but your building inspector has stopped me. Mr. Mayor, on your agenda, you're to consider possible reappointment of John O'Flaherty and Ken Ross to the Municipal Utility Board. You needed to advertise those positions. I remind you that they have yet to collect for the 111 million or more gallons of water that have been used by the county golf course, thousands of gallons of water used by the duck pond, the county duck pond, and the thousands of gallons of water used by the trailer park that was once owned by the Historical Railroad Foundation, just to name a few. The building for my property at 490 High Street has not been corrected to date. You need to look at that. Mr. Mayor, on your agenda, 6B10, you were to consider changing the tree board and animal control advisory board to clerk appointed committees. I'm against that appointment. Appointments should be made by elected officials. Your clerk has failed to address numerous concerns that I brought forward, such as street lights that have been out of service, some for over 2 years. Utility buildings that have not been corrected, curb, gutter, sidewalk, and ADA standards have not been enforced and or corrected. Drafted meeting minutes have not been presented within the time limit period set by the Nevada Open Meeting Law. RVs are not properly permitted throughout the city, just to name a few. Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman Beecher and Councilman Allworth have yet to address the rumor that tens of thousands of dollars have been embezzled from the railroad. Again, yes or no? This concern includes the rest of the council. Mr. Mayor, I'm requesting a copy of the final approved personnel manual that was approved at our previous city council meeting. Nothing's been put in my packets. Mr. Mayor, I'm again reminding you the city's yet to reimburse me for the expenditure that I incurred at the 681 Park for curing the sewer problem. The amount due as of December 21st, 2021 now, with the additional interest of $7,921.64. You can't have it both ways, Mayor. You got to be fair and equitable to everybody. Mr. Mayor, at the December 10th, 2020 City Council meeting, you accepted the resignation of the building inspector. I want to remind you that he needs to account for the missing brick and pathetic inspection he did on my building at 570 Alton.
Thank you, George.
The city
That's 3
mandates that
minutes.
I have a permit. I did that.
That's
You
3 minutes.
failed. He failed. I want my money. I want it corrected.
Thank you, George. Any further public comment? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried and so ordered. Meeting adjourned. We'll hang around because we got things to sign. Do we have things to sign? Bueller? Anyone?
Do we have any bills to sign?
Staff sitting over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really thinking about that tonight too, as I was talking over there.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Ciouncil reporting.